Yo, dun, dun, dun.
Hey guys, it's Pete from Pete from Anxiety here. Welcome to today's episode. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Let's talk about a few things real quick. The Pete vs. Anxiety Team Anxiety Facebook group. Are you a part of it? You're not? What are you waiting for? The link's down here in the description down below, or go to Facebook and search Pete vs. Anxiety. Then look for the Team Anxiety team page and join it today. Why not? You can join and help. It'll be great. Yeah, like right now. Hurry up. Stop what you're doing. Pause this video. Go do it right now. But anyways, let's also talk about the Pete vs. Anxiety YouTube page. If you're here right now, you're probably following it most likely. If not, head on over there, subscribe, be sure to like and comment on the videos and let me know, because all that stuff really helps, guys. I really appreciate it. And help me break the stigma that mental health is talked about enough. But anyways, guys, let's get into today's episode. I'll have a great one. Thank you so much again. And as I always say, don't ask how your day is, ask how your mental health is today.
Guys, welcome to an exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. My guest today is the special guest. He's an artist, and he is the artist known as Mars Hendrix. Mars Hendrix, say hello to everybody, bud.
What is up? How's it going?
Mars is a little taken back there. He's like, wait a minute. Mars, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man?
Well, man, I moved here to the U.S. from Costa Rica about 10 years ago, mostly to pursue music. I say for a few reasons, but mostly to pursue music and expand, my knowledge of music and guitar playing and composition. And yeah.
So, hey, listen, man. So, speaking of music, your influences are Sublime, and what are some of the other ones? Some other bands you were really big into. I knew you had listed them in your bio.
They shift from time to time, but I mean, Sublime has been since the beginning for sure. Bob Marley's a huge one. Currently, I really like BØRNS style of writing. Before this last album, I was listening to Cake a lot, which was
Cake's a good one. All right.
Yeah, it's whatever kind of in the moment, but I guess the ones that have lasted for a long time, it'd be Sublime and Bob Marley as well. I listen to different bands for different reasons.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think that's what it's definitely the new song definitely reflects that 100%. It does have a little mixture of everything in there, and it's kind of great though. I like that though. I like a lot of people that take different parts of different songs and piece them together, man. I think it's really great, guys. If you haven't heard the new song, you need to go check it out right now. I will put the link down below in this video. And for the audio listeners, when it makes it to that side, I'll definitely have it in there as well for you guys to check out Mars's stuff, man, because he's got something really good going here. Definitely.
Thank you.
Mars is like, hey, yeah, man, that's awesome. So, Mars, why do you want to be on a mental health podcast, man? Are you a big advocate by chance?
Absolutely. I'd say that in my life, mental health, and I use the word spirituality carefully because I feel like it means different things for different people depending on the context, and but all of those aspects, psychology, mental health, and spirituality really are the main focus, I'd say, of my life. And then the music is kind of a byproduct of that. So I'm a huge advocate for meditation and mental health. I love to meditate. I love doing like really long vipassanas, 5-10 days at a time. And something I'm really passionate about. It has changed my life because, I mean, my mental health is better now, I think, than it's probably ever been, but it came from a place of it not being so good once upon a time, and wanting to figure out how to work through it. And
do you mind me asking about your mental health before this though, Mars? Just not to cut you out there, but do you mind me asking about that? Like, since you bring it up, it's a little darker of a past. Do you have a problem talking a little bit about it? Give me a little example of what you've gone through to get through that, because I think music is inspirational, and a lot of times the stories you tell, man, those inspire those songs, man.
Yeah, because those they help me, because really the songs for me are alchemy. They really kind of help me move through all those feelings or do anything, and I feel like they can help other people do the same. But as far as my mental health, growing up, it's like I didn't always feel like I felt in. I was always kind of a little unconventional or weird, odd. But besides that, I was always okay with that for the most part. I think it was just like wanting truth more than anything else, and feeling so confused and so lost and not knowing anything. And I feel like I was just being eaten up almost by depression and just, just this overwhelmedness. And I was looking, and my spiritual journey had been, I'd started in the church, I'd been atheist, agnostic, and then
Yeah.
moved past that into just something that's kind of really hard to describe with words, but is truly something that anyone can experience. And man, it got to the point where I wanted what I knew. There was something there I didn't know, and it was really just my connection to myself and to life and to love and to something, bigger than that. And it's really just helped me. And it took focusing all my energy in life at that. It took prioritizing that
Yeah.
and realizing that, hey, well, this isn't going to fix itself, and it is serious, and it has to be serious for yourself first before, you know it can't be for
Yeah.
anyone.
No, I agree, man.
Yeah.
It took me like 40 years almost to even address mine, man. And before I start this show, I started doing my own mental journey. And this show's been kind of like a healing journey at the same time. Along the way, I've discovered a lot of things too. I'm very spiritual, and I get into a lot of spiritual stuff. It's funny that you say spiritual, because someone had mentioned to me after reading my birth chart, she said that you'll get into more spirituality, but I'm not sure how
Huh.
exactly. And here you are. You said the word spiritual. I'm like, yeah, we're right there. And it's interesting because music is just great. Like, music's got me through a lot of hard times, man. Like, the stuff you guys do, the songs you write and things like that. I know you guys probably hear it a lot, that people say that it soothes them, but it really does, man. If you think about it, a lot of people have their own mental health songs and things like that too.
Yeah.
And it just depends what I'm in the mood for, man. Like, I listen to everything though. Like, I'm open to anything. The only thing I'm really not a big fan of is just country, but I'm from the Midwest, so it wasn't really big for me there. So I was
Yeah.
more like, rock, metal, punk rock was a little thing I discovered in high school, a little bit of that stuff. So I dug into that scene for a while, and things like that. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones was one of them too. So when I heard the instrumentals in your song, I was just like, I thought of them instantly. I was just like, man, I love the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones in high school. They're great. It was so great. The Real Big Fish was big around then. They may be giants. Even some of those other bands like that, it just had that interesting sound, as you go. But then if you look at the flip side, when you go into the punk rock side, you're looking at like, God, man, the Sex Pistols and anything from there, man. The Ramones, if you want to go really far back, and things like that. No Effects was always big too. I remember they were always big, making their own kind of thing. And their songs are always interesting because the way they just kind of put it together, just a lot of times you're just like, I don't know why this makes sense, but I really enjoy this song, it's complete like weirdness as it's going for some of them, so. But it's great, man. It's great. I'm glad you were willing to share that with us, man. Because it's always great to get to see like where people come from to where they're at now. So, what got you into music? Have you always loved music in general? Is it just something you kind of vibed with from the beginning?
So the way that it came to be part of my life, I guess, since as far back as I can remember, I always liked art. So, but it was more of like I wanted to be an actor, I think, first when I was like really little, and I like to draw, and anything
Okay.
creative really just always just called my attention. But I was actually born in the US. I moved to Costa Rica around 12, and when I moved there, I didn't speak any Spanish yet. And music just became a way for me to communicate, really. And I
Yeah.
also feel like, yeah, it was around that time when I found music, then yeah, it kind of started taking priority, over anything else, as far as the arts go. But
Yeah.
so yeah, around 13, I got my first guitar and started learning some stuff, and immediately was drawn to songwriting. Um, you know, by the time I was like 15, I'd already written my first kind of few songs and starting to play
Yeah.
around with.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So listen, I asked Brian from Live and Stone this question. I said, listen, if you could open for anybody, who would it be? If you could pick that one band that you just want to be the front runner for, what would it be?
Oh, that's so tough. Oh, because there's so many
See,
different
there's so
type
many
of shows.
choices. I know.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, you can
that's
name a
brutal.
couple. It's all right. Give us a little
Yeah,
idea of what you're
yeah.
thinking there, man.
I mean, because singer-songwriter stuff, when it comes to my new album, I do really resonate. Like I said, with Borns, I would love to do some kind of concert with Borns. Garrett Borns would be cool. But then I am super into these kind of progressive rock bands that are around now, but I even hesitate to call them that, but progressive rock. But Polyphia, Chan, Covet, they're kind of more instrumental, but that whole scene
Yeah.
is something that I'm just in love with. Like that would also be a dream come true. Those are completely different vibe shows. You know, entirely
Hey,
different.
listen, man, you like what you like, and it doesn't matter. Listen, you could have said Backstreet Boys, Mars, and I wouldn't have looked at you any different. I'm like, all right, man. Hey, listen, that's what you're into, brother.
Yeah. No. Oh man.
But
Yeah.
that's so cool, man. It's like, to hear your song on like Spotify and everything else, man, it's got to feel great though when people hit you back and like, Mars, man, I love this song. It resonated with me for whatever reason, whatever reason that you insert in there, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to feel good, man. Like, to feel good to the soul, got to feel good to that 13-year-old kid that started making music. You know what I'm saying, man? You had to like, oh, it's got to make you feel good every time you hear somebody come up and you say something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it does. It does feel good. It feels good to go or to a show and see someone who maybe knows the words that doesn't know me
Yeah.
personally. Like those are moments that those always feel good and nice.
Yeah, and and then they bring up like mental health, and you're like, well, actually, funny thing is, I'm a huge advocate, and things like that too, man, which is always great too, because Lucy Lenore from Hunter, she was a big mental health advocate. Mars and I had no idea until I reached out to her. So I was just randomly on Instagram. It's like, hey, Lucy, I love your stuff. What's your thoughts about mental health? And she reached back out to me and goes, oh, well, I'm a huge advocate. I'm like, oh shit, okay. So when she came on the show too, she had actually revealed she has BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. But you
Mhm.
never know though. And Lucy had explained her description of what it was like, but it was so cool to see her though, because it was just like you listen to these people, they have all these downloads and things like that too, and all these people listening to your songs, and then you get them right here in front of you. And it's like you had to like you're just trying not to fangirl when they're there, but it's like she was so cool. Just like, you're so mellow too, man. Like you're so cool. You're like when I go into these conversations, I don't know what to think, but I'm
Yeah.
already loving your vibe, man. You're really mellow and stuff. And it's really cool though, man, because like they say that thing like don't meet your heroes sometimes. So, I mean, I get that I think that statement's incorrect. I think it's how you meet your heroes though. Like don't rush them up in public and just start like taking 20 pictures of them. I could see him getting mad like that, because
Or not
one of
have
my other guests was
expectations.
actually no, go ahead.
Oh no,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. To not have
Yeah, you're right.
expectations.
No,
I've
you're
met
good.
a
You're
few
right. That makes sense.
I've met a few of, people who I've looked up to or learned from, and I meet them in real life. And a few times it's been exactly what I think it's going to be. And other times it's like, wow, could not have been more off. It's like, I have this whole idea in my head of what this person is like. And
Yeah.
yeah, you just never know. Sometimes it's right though. So sometimes you are right. Sometimes you have an idea and it's right on. But other times you're certain you have an idea of someone, and it's like, yeah, when there are people like that you've never met, you really don't know.
Yeah, man. Listen, I don't do any pre-meetings usually with people, and I know people are always like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Why not? Let's just jump into a conversation. Conversations are always interesting." And like I said, I don't think I've ever had a problem in the show, man. We've had some oh shit moments, man. There's actually a gentleman that was on here at the beginning of the year. He was talking about suicide ideation, okay? And for whatever reason, this is still a hot button issue for people. Like when you start talking about suicide, people start freaking out. Well, this guy was talking about his ideation he was having. And he's like, Pete, this morning I was sitting on the edge of the bed. I had the gun in hand, and I'm just thinking the whole time, I'm going, oh crap, what is about to happen here? So I'm trying to keep calm. In my brain, I'm freaking out. But as I'm looking on the camera, I'm just trying to keep it mellow. Listen to him, all right, man. And he was just like telling about it. But you've never seen so many people react to it though. Like 15 people afterwards were like, is he okay? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's good, it's crazy because when it comes to that, I don't know if you've ever had suicide ideation before, but when it comes to that kind of thing, man, it gets kind of sticky for people because people don't know what to say, because when people start telling you things, it's like, oh my God, what do I do next? I don't want to say something wrong to set them off over the edge and kind of thing. Have you yourself ever had a suicide ideation?
Yeah, I mean, hmm. I had something on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. Sorry.
No, man. Welcome to the podcast and romance. What happens to me sometimes? Like you got this great idea, you're thinking of something, you're like, damn it, it just slipped my tongue.
Yep. But I think there's
So,
so much stigma around it and talking around it because it is a
mhm.
heavy issue. And I think that I love what you're doing here and in general what we're doing right now and talking about it and even having that moment. I think that you don't want to normalize it happening in a way where, like, I don't want to be misunderstood when I say this should be normalized, but like the stigma should be lifted in a way where it's like, I think that most people, it's something that at least it crosses their mind. For some people, it becomes a deeper reality where, like, this person you were interviewing is on the edge of their bed, and it's a serious, like, a deeper contemplation where they put themselves closer to that line. But in general, everyone has thought about the line, and how close you've gotten to it is different for everyone, but everyone has thought about the line. So there shouldn't be this stigma around talking about it. There shouldn't be this. I mean, that's my opinion. And like you said, it is a hot button issue, and some people are very triggered sensitive they hear the word suicide, and all of a sudden the hairs stand up on their arms, their ears perk up. They're like, oh, and
You're right, though, man. I think everything that you're saying is your opinion, though, and it's respectable to have an opinion. Like, I think people need to understand what Mars is saying is his opinion. Don't take it as he's saying he's an expert. Mars is not. Mars is just having a conversation right here. So I want people to know that this is not how this works here. This is a safe space, Mars. We talk about everything in here. So anything you say in these four walls of this screen are basically just a safe space. These are all just conversations between two people. And the fact that we're men having this conversation, it's even a stronger message. Think about it, because if you look at the percentages of men that commit suicide a year, it's 80%. Of men will commit suicide. But that's how much of those make up, and it's scary, man, because it's like we don't have these kind of conversations, because we're always taught to be the bigger person, be the alpha male. Don't talk about your feelings, brush it on a rug, take that rug and just sweep it under. But it's great that us as males, we can have this conversation right now, and you giving your opinion is great too, because it's great to have other people's thoughts on it, what they think. That way you can see how other people feel about the subject and things like that too. So it's great, man, that you're here talking to us, because it's always great to get another voice of the conversation. Like, I could sit here all day and campaign, but it's stronger when you have more people in the message itself, man. Because I do a men's mental health panel, and I do one every month, so I'm definitely gonna have to invite you to come back and do one of those with us.
Absolutely.
We'll figure it out and get you on there for sure, man. I think you
would love that.
I definitely think you'd be great on there. Oh, heck yeah, man. I definitely love it though, man. Because I thought it was great when you guys reached out to me, because I was like, man, all right, this is awesome. I love having artists on the show just because music is a huge part of my life. Like, I've listened to everything. Like, if I had to pick a band, that my favorite band of all time would be Papa Roach. It's just something about the songs they write are so close to me with a lot of things they say. Cold's another big one. Stain's another big one. I love all them. Air Lewis is just phenomenal in my book. Things like that. And the guy from what's it? Guy called Jeremy. He had wrote that song, "The Different Kind of Pain," which was dedicated to that fan. Like when people do things like that, it's a powerful song, because this guy had taken his time to write this song and put it on his album for someone to hear. That says a lot to me right there. Now, Mars, if someone asked you to do that, would you do that for a fan ever?
If they would write it for them?
Ask you to write a song for them, about whatever. Would you ever dedicate a song to them like that on your album like that? Just curiosity.
It's just context sensitive. So
true.
It depends.
True.
Yeah. Hard to say.
Parts like you put me on Spider, man. I'm just asking in general, man. But you know what I'm saying, though? It's just like, it's great that we can get together and have these kind of conversations, because we also were talking about like PTSD, and things like that are very interesting moments where I had a moment where I experienced it myself, where someone had a PTSD moment, man. They flipped out, and dude, it's like you don't recognize the person anymore now, and it gets really interesting, because like you're there and you see the person, but the person's no longer there. They've checked out completely. And then after it, they didn't even remember anything had happened. It is the craziest thing ever. And have you yourself ever dealt with any of those kind of things? Any other friends or anybody's had like kind of mental health issues at all? Or
a few with like BPD,
or
NPD, or I guess bipolar. And
bipolar is interesting though when you get into it though, because there's one, and then that bipolar 2 gets a little bit different, because people go into manic states and those and stuff like that too. So and then when BPD comes up, it's interesting to see, because bipolar and BPD kind of go so close together that sometimes people misdiagnose them a little bit, because they have similar kind of like traits that you would see in people. DID is another interesting one though, Mars. I don't know if you ever met somebody that has DID. It basically, what happens is like, it used to be called multiple personality disorder, man.
Okay.
So the way it worked is like people used to think it's different personalities. You know, take example the movie Split. Okay, in the movie, the guy has all those different personalities. Now that does happen for some people, but that's not what DAD really is. DAD is really like it's like some little ticks and changes in a person. Like they do like certain different things will change. Like their handwriting will change, the way they address things, kind of a little bit like what you were seeing, but it's not so much a personality change, man. And it's so interesting to see, you know, when it happens. And I've had somebody on the show that actually had it, and we were watching them. You could see the little ticks and things and as they change and stuff like that too, you know. And it's so interesting to see. You know, you ever had a chance to meet anybody that has that at all, or is that not something you've experienced yet?
No, not in person. It's something I'm fascinated by. It's something that I have
Yeah.
looked into and read about a lot. So it's like, well, from what I understand, it's like can happen through like compartmentalizing parts of the self
Yeah.
because of trauma. And to me, the craziest part about a lot of this mental health stuff, to me, where it ties into spirituality, is when it comes into what the self is. And then people dismiss this because they go, well, now you're talking about philosophy, and now it's an abstraction, and it's like it doesn't hold any weight. When in reality, the way that I see it, it's like this is the root of so much of it, because the concept of what we are actually is something that I feel like we take for granted. And it's something that, because I love meditation so much, I've noticed. And I see so many correlations between it and mental health, and like between what your idea of self is. You notice different mental health issues correlated with what people perceive themselves to be in reality. And if that is that a brain, is that a soul, is that you know, and this is left up to debate, you could say, but I find that it all ties back to consciousness. And I think that consciousness work in general can be scary, because I feel like what we fear most as human beings is what we don't know. And consciousness is blank identity. It's this whole thing where, you know, that's where all the neurosis comes up. The deeper you go, I feel like spirituality is antithetical to survival. So the deeper you go in and challenge these questions, sometimes it threatens your survival, but not your survival, your physical body, the survival of your concept of self, your ego. It begins to just dissipate. And then that, you know, in those panicking as your ego is basically dissolving. If your ego dissolves, who's there? Who's home?
True.
What's left without a name, without an identity? Because I feel like we just make assumptions as humans, grand majority of just, we don't even really think about I mean, I'm obsessed with these kind of topics, but what I've noticed in my experience is that a lot of people, this isn't, you know, people I spend time with, we love talking about this stuff. But in general, what I've noticed is people don't take it that deep.
Yeah, you know, you're right, Mars. You're right, because they don't understand, or they don't want to understand.
Yeah,
And you
they
know,
don't want
it's proven in history, though. If we don't know something, we judge people differently, and we'll say, "Oh, they're just crazy," or they'll say, "Oh, you're too emotional." You know, it depends how far you go into it. Like, you know, people that are empaths are very sensitive to, you know, emotions and energy and things like that. And it also goes to that whole thing of, you know, where they always say like, "Oh, well, females are crazy because they're so emotional." Maybe they're. It's not that case though. It's more that they're in tune with their feelings. But us as men, we have this like tower like system. Obviously, we're trying to be the top dog, the alpha dog. And I think that's the thing we need to break down, is that we need to stop doing that. We need to start working together, because we are losing people at a faster rate than we're reproducing males. And the scary fact is, dude, that we make up 50% of the population. Think about that. Like 1 in 3 of your friends, they may not be there the next day. Like, you know, a good majority of them aren't going to be there the next day for some reason. And it could be mostly, you know, closer to suicide than anything, unfortunately. And if we don't start the conversation now, man, like we're doing now, and everybody else that's trying to force this conversation out there, because it needs to be had. I think that's the problem. A lot of people cite mental health as an issue. They take some of these school shootings, for example. They say mental health is usually the first thing. Well, we had something wrong mentally. Then they go away from it instantly and blame the gun and inanimate object that had done it. Wait a minute, the gun has no feelings. So how are you going to blame an object that has no identity to itself? None of that stuff, that can't do anything and think for itself and bypass the person you're claiming that is having these issues. But you can't seem to help them for some reason. And the scary part is it's harder to find mental health help here in the States than it is to find a doctor. You can find a doctor anywhere, but you can't find a mental health person. You can't afford it because it's too expensive. We don't have affordable, cheaper rates and things like that for people that really need this help, because everybody always associates it with just talk therapy and the mental hospital. That's it. That's all you hear when you think, a lot of people think about it. But it's like, there's so much more to it, man. With all these new people getting these alternative holistic spaces and things like that too, energy healing and things like that. There's so many different options out there now that people can use to get around these things. Like, if you don't like talk therapy, that's cool. There's about 10,000 different other things you can do out there. Have you had any experience with holistic healing at all? Like, any of that kind of stuff? You're spiritual, so you may have.
Yeah, I mean, I practice. I give Reiki healing sessions. I've led meditation.
Oh, okay. Okay, Mars. Now we're getting a little more interesting, bud. You said Reiki healing. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. To energy work, and that's something that just kind of came to me more naturally. But I think it's some interesting points with what you were saying. Are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna have to look this up though, for sure.
So it's basically what happens when someone's so ignorant that they can't recognize their ignorance because of their ignorance. You know what I'm saying? So you're saying, like,
makes sense.
With all these people, it's like, well, yeah, but there's other ways. It's not just talk therapy. It's like, there's this way and that way. And then, like, there's so much ways you can get help. And the people who see that and they look for it and they know about it. And like us, we're here, we're talking. And it's funny because the people who are pulled in, they're pulled in naturally. And the people who need it the most don't know they need it. They're like, they can't. It's like a paradox.
No, you're right.
And
Mars, you're such an interesting guy, man. Let me just say real quick, dude. I am finding you more interesting as this interview continues, man. You said Reiki master and everything else, and I'm just like, damn. All right, now I knew we had to meet for a reason, man. You ever had this feeling like the universe puts people in the path of each other for a reason?
Absolutely. I don't believe in.
And that's why we are here right now, brother. Because this is great, man. So. I love it, man. As soon as you start talking Reiki and energy healing, I'm like, yeah, Mars is Mars. Yep, Mars. I'm getting a kind of a man crush here, Mars. I'm like, all right, buddy. That's so cool, though, man. Because you're right, though. Because if you think about it, like, with energy, it's like you attract the people that you want. So you're attracted to that stuff, you think about it. Yeah. And then you detract the people that don't want to be there. And I try to tell people that all the time, and they look at me weird. I'm like, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but trust me. You bring in the people you want to be here. The people that get mad and don't want to be there and so-called don't want to be your friend anymore. Okay, cool. You don't need them anymore. That's really what that says to you. If you look at the practices like energy healers and things, they'll tell you that those are the people that don't like the energy you're giving off. Or like, I'm real sensitive to energy. So like when I get around certain people, man, I get real, like, I feel a little nauseous. And I feel like, it's this feeling that comes over me. I could never explain it until I met somebody that was an energy healer who had explained it a little better to me, and I was like, well, okay, that makes sense now. It would make sense why within the first 5 minutes of meeting most people, I can tell you whether I liked them or not. I couldn't tell you what I don't like about them. I could just tell you, I could feed their energy. I could feel it, and I could tell you if I like it or not, And that's the great thing about, this show. It's like when I book a lot of people, like if I don't feel like, if I read your name or read about you and I don't feel like I'm feeling good vibes coming from you, I'll just turn on the interview. But most of the time, the people I bring in, that we get into such interesting topics. And it's funny when you said Reiki master, because I started hearing that a lot early on in the show, and I didn't know why it kept coming up. And then I met a woman who goes by the energy alchemist named Melanie, and her and I in our interview were discussing how I'm sensitive to energy and everything. And it started making more sense when she started explaining it to me. And here you are now, Mars. You go, oh, well, I do Reiki master healing. I'm like, oh, Mars. Okay, this gets a little more interesting, buddy. All right. But I find it so interesting, man. Is there anything else you're not telling us, Mars? Are you secretly a ventriloquist or something too, man?
Secretly an FBI agent? No.
Right? Hey, it's funny you say FBI. It's funny you say FBI, though, because I had a woman on 2 weeks ago. She was an FBI sleep expert, man. How about that one for an interesting conversation?
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like this shows such a great opportunity to meet different people. And I went through a strong phase, like for like a week or two of nothing but energy healers that kept coming on. I met
Huh.
another woman named Leslie. She came on and she was more fascinated by me than the actual interviews. So it was great though, man.
That's
So
very
what got you into Reiki and all that kind of stuff, man? Because that's like I said, I've been hearing that a lot lately. It comes in my path a lot. So why don't you tell everybody your story about that?
It's interesting story. Well, it kind of ties back into what I was saying before about my kind of spiritual path. And
Yeah.
as I started meditating more, it was really during my first 5-day sit, I had an incredibly powerful breakthrough. And this is a story that I like to tell a lot, although it's a longer one. But you know, the shorter version of that sit is that, you know, in the middle was the first time I experienced the true silence of my mind. For like 2 or 3 days, my mind was like in like just nuts. And I was kind of just self-hate and talking and screaming and just boredom and like just all the worst images and thoughts and things. And it was my mind just like, I think, holding on for however it could. And at a certain point,
Yeah.
after 3 days, my mind, it just had this moment where it was just like, okay, fine, whatever. You're just gonna sit here, you know, like this is so stupid, this is dumb. You think this is gonna help you?
Yeah.
And but it just kept trying to say one more thing, and eventually nothing at all. And this was the first moment in my entire life that I'd experienced just this profound silence. And at that moment, certain things
Yeah.
just clicked for me, but they clicked in a way outside of words because I wasn't forming sentences in a linear
Yeah.
fashion anymore because of just this breakthrough that I had. And I do coaching, and part of what I love to do is to help people with this breakthrough in particular. But you don't just have it once.
Yeah.
There's like so many degrees of this. And at some point, the Reiki just came naturally. And I actually personally, I don't even like calling the healing that I do personally Reiki. I tell people Reiki
Yeah.
because I know that that's the term most are familiar with, and it resembles Reiki. It's partly Reiki, but in some ways, I feel like sometimes I just get some deep intuition. Sometimes I'm doing this energy healing, and I just, something comes to me, either some kind of image or word or sentence, and then my ego isn't the thing getting it, because my ego will doubt itself. And this is something I had to learn, where it's like I would get this done and be like, oh, tell this person that, and I would be like, I can't tell them that. Like, what? Where is that coming from? Like, what if that's not true? What if they look at me and they go, you're a fake, you're a poser, what are you doing? Like, you're just making
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
up. And I'm like, and it was this internal thing, and again, I kind of let it go. And it's
Yeah.
kind of just being in this flow state. So the Reiki, the healing, this kind of thing, it wasn't something that it's like I picked up a book or someone taught me or someone like came over and was like, this is how this is done. I kind of like, I
Yeah.
I have a mentor that is a Reiki master actually, but they never formally taught me Reiki. But again, I did come to understand in that time that what I'm doing is a very similar thing, and it just came to me in an intuitive way. And I do think that people have this capacity. I think we're all more intuitive and psychic than we know. And
Yeah.
I think that this is something very rarely talked about because it's hard to find the words to describe these things sometimes. And that's just one of those things that I'm passionate about doing. Um,
Yeah, you can tell, man. You can tell the way you're talking about it. You totally can tell, man. It's awesome though. That's really cool though. And it's funny you say that, people are psychic or, almost like that, because there's actually a guest I had on the show named Gloria Bettini. She came on and she said the same thing, that anybody could be one of those type of people. You just got to train yourself how to know what you're looking for and things like that. So you're not wrong by saying any of
yeah.
that. That's so cool though, man. Because This like I said, this is getting more interesting by the minute, man. Like the more you start saying things, I'm just like, all right, buddy, what else are you hiding from us, Mars? But it's so cool, man. That's so cool. The coincidence that you're here and that's something big I've been getting into, and that you're doing the same thing, and and you're making music, and it's all things that I align with, man. It's so fucking cool you're here though. To
Even your
hear you
taste in
say all
music.
those things and talk about how you're doing it. It's so awesome, man. It really is. Like I said, it's a universe at work. Anybody that doesn't understand that, listen, they can be on the outside. They don't have to be in our club. They can't be here. But you know what I'm saying, man? It's so cool though that you're so passionate about that kind of stuff. And you can tell when you're talking about it, man. When you were just really into it right there, telling us all about how your journey was and stuff. And that's so cool, man. Like I said, I love it, dude. I love it. So let's talk about the new song, man. I love it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I listened to it. I love it. I was listening to it repeat actually a few times. I just let it kept going, and it was just that good. I just was like, I didn't have the urge to change it. I was like, oh man, this song's still going. Hell yeah, let's keep going. All right, this is. So, how did you come up with the song? Like, what's your process for songwriting, man? Is it
Uh,
just like you just start writing something down and see what it feels like, or is it just something that, or is it something that happened in your life? Some people use different inspirational things for what song they write songs and things like that too.
so I mean, every song is different. So we'll talk about
Yeah.
Sriracha, which is the
Okay.
newest song. In particular, because yeah, I've worked through so many different kinds of methods. That's how I get different songs. And I do think in particular, after you telling me all the types of music you like, you'd love my first album. We can touch back on
I'm
that
definitely gonna check it
after.
out.
But just with all the styles that you've told me, my first album, Explore Your Mind, you would really like it. This
I'm definitely checking it out.
Sriracha was it's just fun. It feels poppier than what I usually do, but it doesn't feel um cliche. So it's
Yeah.
poppy. It feels like radio, but to me it doesn't feel like something that's been done exactly. It's just like it just feels modern. I don't even know how to describe that song. That one kind of snuck up on me, to be honest. I got the chord
Yeah.
progression just kind of playing around with my guitar, so that the chords came first. And that first little, I had that little phrase right at the beginning of the song for a while before I wrote the rest of it. The maybe we should, and I would usually just leave it silent while I was playing acoustic guitar. Um,
Ooh, I love acoustic. You just hit my bell. I
yeah,
love acoustic music.
uh, that song, yeah, that was cool. I mean, that one, it was over a process of months. I mean, yeah, I had like the first 2 or 3 sentences of that chord progression. I was like, this is a hook. This just feels good. And originally, I wasn't even thinking of
Yeah.
having it on this album. Um, but I just ended up loving it so much. It's just, yeah, a really good vibey song. And then the horn players on it, that just adds another layer.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you,
It's
I'm telling you,
so good.
gives you that mighty mighty post boss tone vibes, bro. I told you, I love that. That was always a big band for me. Is mighty mighty boss tones and things
I
like
was in
that
a
too.
ska punk
The
band for years.
horns and
Yeah.
see, there you go. Then all right, then you're right up by it. See, look,
Yeah.
Mars, listen, are you trying to create a bromance here? Because I think it's we're having it right, man. I think it's we're having with this. Let's talk about this.
Working.
I love ska. It was great, man. I'm telling you, it was so good. You know what I'm saying? Like I loved it, man. I'm definitely gonna check out the other stuff. I haven't had a chance yet to, but I'm always listening to music, man. Whatever
My
I'm doing, I'm
next
always listening to music or podcasts, bro.
I haven't mentioned this to anyone on any podcast or interview or anything because
Okay.
it's so far out. Because right now we're working on this album, Karma, and it hasn't come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
But already, because I have to mention it now, because I was years ago in a ska punk reggae band, right? I wrote a bunch of songs in that
Yeah.
time. And at that time, I wasn't as established, didn't know I was doing that. And they never got recorded. And to me, like some of them were really good
Yeah.
reggae songs, but ska punk stuff.
Oh,
And
tell me what you're about to say. Is you're gonna release those? Tell me that's what you're gonna say.
oh, some of them are recorded.
Oh yeah.
I could send you an unreleased one that's very Sublime, ska punk, all that stuff.
Yeah,
That you
definitely.
like, Real
I
Big
will not
Fish.
share with anybody else. It'll be
Yep.
hell yeah.
I can shoot you that one. One's done, but eventually, yeah, I want to
Okay.
take all those songs and we're gonna release an EP that's gonna be deep in the future. So you know,
Okay.
this is the
Nothing
first
wrong
I'm
with that.
speaking
Nothing wrong to get
about it.
people excited about that. So
Deep in the future, but it's already all written. So some people hear these songs
yeah.
at live shows. They're just
Okay.
still unreleased online. But
That's dope, man. That's dope. I'm looking forward to that for sure. 100% for sure, dude. I'll definitely have to check those out when they come out. I'm
yeah,
looking forward to it, man. I'm definitely looking forward to looking at somebody checking out some of the other stuff too. And things like that too, man. I always dig deep into people's EPs and things and look and see what they've got. Because a lot of times, you find a lot of good, really good stuff in some of the older stuff too. Like, don't get me wrong, the new stuff's great for a lot of them. Like a Lives Lost. I was listening to some of their stuff. I was digging deep into their kind of thing, and they had this song called IED, man. I was like, bro, why didn't y'all promote this one a little more? This one's really good, man. I hadn't heard this before. And
yeah.
another one I was listening to recently was what is it, Let Me Bleed. Eddie is the lead singer of the band. Dude, he did a cover of Bring Me to the Horizon, 10 Statues That Bleed Blood, dude. It was phenomenal. And then
Cool.
you say acoustic, and I'm just like, Mars is hitting home for me. I love Bush, acoustic Bush. Okay. I don't
Okay.
know what it is. Gavin Rossdale, man, he just does it for me. Him, John Resnick was another big one when I was a kid. I love the Goo Goo Dolls. I don't care anybody says it. I love the Goo Goo Dolls. I thought he was great. Everything he wrote was really great. I know Iris front to back. I could sing the song for you. Things like that too. I loved Iris. I was
Me
big
too.
into the Bare Naked Ladies. Was an interesting one for a lot of people. They were a big Canadian band.
Okay. I've
I
heard of
just really
them.
enjoyed them as well. Yeah, they're really great. I like them. Like I said, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones I picked up later on, but Stain was always big because I remember Blood Shovel was the first song I ever heard by them, but then I got into their um what is that? I'm going blank. Normally I can call these off the top of my head, no problem. But Break the Cycle. There you go. The Break the Cycle album was a real big influence to me during high school, music wise, because it was right in there. I liked them, and then I discovered Cold, and I was listening to all their older stuff too, like 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage and then their original self-titled album. And then I got into Korn was another big one for me as well. Jonathan Davis was a big influence for me music wise.
Yeah.
So I kind of bounced around a little bit, but I like them. Tonic was a great one too. Loved a lot of their stuff. I seen, when the American Pie song was on there. You Want It More was on there. And that's how I first discovered them. And I went back and started really listening to their stuff. So my taste goes everywhere. I go everywhere. I'll listen to anything. Even Haunter, Lucy Norris band was really good too, man. She's got a real good vocals to it. I like really good female lead singers are great too. If like Flyleaf and things like that. I even like Marilyn Manson. I know it really weirds people out, but I love Marilyn Manson too. I think his style is just so interesting of music that he has, things like that too. Like, well, my brother also had like back when CDs were big, you come in, he had a bigger wall than Best Buy of just CDs. So I had a chance to listen to a lot of different stuff, and like Seven Dust and Ugly Kid Joe was another one he had. Nirvana was always big in his collection. He was big into Garbage. He had had an album from Garbage, and stuff like that. Man, I could go all for days and things like that because it was just great. So this is leading me into my next question, Mars. Here's the question I was going to ask you. Okay. So
Okay.
this goes credit to my good friend Gretchen. She runs a podcast called The Shit That Goes On in Your Head. Okay. Gretchen I interviewed, and she asked me this question I'm about to ask you. She said to me, Pete, if your mental health had a song, what would it be? Now, Mars Hendrix, this is a question for you, sir. If your mental health had a song, what would it be?
Oh,
It's a good one, I know.
it would be Wordless Chorus by My Morning Jacket.
There you go. Okay. I'm not checking it out. I don't know if I know that one, but I'm definitely going to check it out, though, for sure.
Very, very
So,
cool.
man, and it's an interesting question, isn't it? It's interesting because a lot of people have answered it. I've got one lady that said Beat It by Michael Jackson, Mars. I was dying. This woman's like a 45-year-old from the Middle East. And we were talking about her app about, something pertaining to women. I couldn't remember exactly the full content, but she said Beat It by Michael Jackson. I was dying hysterically. I said, ma'am, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the fact you picked Michael Jackson at everything. It's just so interesting because you don't know what people are going to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, Michael Jackson.
That was an
I
interesting
was like,
question.
wow. It is, man. It's a really interesting question, especially when you ask an artist who they like, and things like that too, and what they would think. Mine answer was actually I had two. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I don't know what the band name of the intro song is, but they said the days that my anxiety is at an all-time high is that's the intro song right there. It's just in my head, it's going, na, 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 na. It's going that repeat chorus is just going. And then what is it? And I said one of my days are really when I'm really depressive, it's Leave a Light On, Tuck Away the Dark by Papa Roach, the original, not the Carrie Underwood version, because I don't really care for that one too much. But yeah, that was my big songs, I liked. And then, Cold, A Different Kind of Pain is another one too I'd add into that list if I had to give another one to it too, because just something about the song is just so it's so soothing the way that he starts out with it, real low tone and things like that. I don't know if you've ever heard the song, but it's really good. And stuff, and it's so interesting because when I give people that answer, a lot of people look at me weird, like, you have 3 different songs. I'm like, yeah, I'm a complex person. I'm sorry, But that's why the show's called Pete versus Anxiety, though. Think about it, because the idea behind the show was originally was that I battle my anxiety every single day, and people that have anxiety know that, like, in your head, the thoughts that go through your head are racing 1,000 miles an hour. So the punk rock side of my liking of music, I kind of fits in that a little bit. You think about it, it's faster pace, real quick going. Lyrics are coming in real fast, depending on what you're listening to, like Rancid or I know this is going to maybe trigger some people. Anti-Flag was a big one for me too. It wasn't so much the name of the band; it was just the music. It was okay. But then I found out something recently about one of the people that he was doing some pretty heinous things behind. So I really don't support them too much anymore, just because of that kind of thing. But like, Smoker Fire's another big one. The Sex Pistols, Pennywise, all those different bands. You can just go on I can go for days like those, and then I kind of my taste changed up a little bit. So now I like MGK is really good. I didn't like his rap side so much. I think his pop punk side is magnificent. It's just a lot of the songs you can relate with, like Forget Me, kind of like you're like listening to the song and you just kind of feel it as you go. And then when Eddie from from Let Me Bleed did the song 10 Statues of Bleed Blood, I remember the original because I like the song, but his remake of it, his kind of more acoustic, fuller sound to it is so good. Like, he did it so justice to it. It's amazing, and it was really great, man. I just loved it. I think it was a great cover song, and I think it's great when people do some cover songs and things like that too. I just heard was Ohio for Lovers by another Canadian band. Somebody to cover that song. I was like, it's so interesting to hear people's different perspectives. So if you could do a cover song for any song, Mars, what would you pick?
What I pick,
and you can do it in your own style. Remember now, you could do it in your own style too. Remember now, you could do it in the Mars Hendrix style. You don't have to do it the way the original song was done. And just what would you choose if you could do it?
We do. We play a bunch of covers. I think one of the ones that we've really done in the Mars style that I love doing live is Godzilla by Eminem. It's the
okay.
It's the world record for the fastest rap. It's the most syllables a second. 12 and a half syllables a second. And
so how well do you keep up with it?
I got it down. I practiced it.
Do you really?
Go crazy. Yeah, we get the crowd crazy. I always tell the crowd, I'm like, I want to take Eminem's record in 2 languages while playing an instrument. I want that record.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, that's so cool, though, man. That's
like Guinness though. I feel like I have the record, but you need X thousands of dollars to actually get the judge and Guinness and all that. And I'm like, man, I have it. I have it already.
Yeah.
At least for my own film. I got it. But that one live.
Mars is like, all right, guys, here I go. He goes for it. It just kills it completely. And he's like catching his breath afterwards. And we're just like, all of us are just too amped up afterwards to even care. Like, Mars, are you okay, man? You good? He's like, I'm good, man. I got this. But that's so cool, though, man. It's an interesting answer, though. Eminem, though, man.
Yeah.
I like Eminem. I have my mixed feelings about it, just because I thought the whole MGK thing between him was just kind of stupid. I'm like, I don't know why.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt more about MGK. So when you said that,
I just don't see the point. I just don't see the point of. I just didn't understand it. I think he's more of a pop punk guy myself. Honestly, I think that's his better suited genre. Rap. Okay, he could add a little bit in there with that. I think that's it. Honestly, I did like him with Papa Roach when they did Sunrise Trailer. That was a good one where he added in his own kind of thing in there a little bit. He has a place for it, but I'm just like,
yeah.
Pop punk when that first album came out, when it's my best friend's. What was that song? I can't remember. When he did with
something My Downfall.
Black Bear. Yeah, the Downfall, Ticket to My Downfall, the album there. The main song that he did when he dropped that whole album. I think it's just that's it, man. That was the way. Yeah, he should have been there the whole time. Like, I know he's been doing it. He says he's been doing it, but I'm like, dude, why did you ever leave it? It was so good, man. Everything you put out is so good after that. His new song Cliche is really good too, and things like that too. And I still go back and listen to the classics. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I love Goo Goo Dolls. The song he did, the cover song for Iris too. Him and the other young lady has in the song with him, really good cover song. And I think it's really great. I think the most slept on song by the Goo Goo Dolls, a lot of people don't do, is Black Balloon. Like, guys, we need a cover song for Black Balloon here. I think y'all need to start doing, get some Mighty Mighty Boss, like some Mars. I'd love to see you take your shot at Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, man. I think that'd be interesting, especially the instrumentals and stuff too. I think you can knock it out of the park.
Cool, definitely.
Mars is like,
Definitely.
I'm thinking about it.
I'm thinking
Mars,
about
are you
it.
gonna do Backstreet Boys for us too, man? Because one of my good friends, Pretty Suspect, they said they're doing Backstreet Boy cover songs. I was laughing hysterically. You know,
That's
it's like, what if boy bands
crowd
go
eats it
punk?
up.
Everybody,
Crowd will
they
eat it
do,
up.
man, because they're good. Like if they're really good, and it's crazy to hear when people do them because they sound great too. I know that was my dad's big argument in the '90s when I was listening to Orgy when they did that cover of Blue Monday from New World Order. He's like, it sounds the same. I'm like, it doesn't sound the same, Dad. It's a different tone, pace of tone. And oh, there's so many different ways we can dissect this. Oh man, okay, calm down over there. You know, and this is coming from a guy who's listening to Chicago and things like that. My mom, my stepmom, she was big into the Ramones and all that stuff. So she'd be more into the stuff we listen to. She
Nice.
listened to all that different kind of stuff and things like that too. And you know, and my wife, she listens to a lot of metal. She listens to some metal, but more rap. So
Cool.
I threw her off the one day. She was listening to 3 6 Mafia, half on the sack, and she's like, "You know this song?" I'm like, "Yeah, who doesn't know 3 6 Mafia, man? I grew up in the '90s, and like I didn't know what the hell existed out there." You know? So, Mars, as we get ready to start wrapping up, man, I want to thank you so much for coming, bro. This was such a great time. I look forward to the album coming out and everything else, and everything else. And that other one you were telling me about, I'm really looking forward to that. Definitely, buddy. But why don't you plug everybody and tell them where they can find you? Where can we find Mars at if we want to go show some support? Do you have any socials or anything you want to plug for us?
Yeah. So right there, like in my name right here, it's Mars Hendrik, just a dot in the middle. So Instagram will be Mars.Hendrik. All my music's there.
Okay.
And if you guys want me talking about my philosophy and spirituality and all that stuff, it's Manifest with Mars. Manifest underscore with underscore Mars. And yeah, on Spotify, iTunes, all the good stuff. Few singles out on the new album, and Explore Your Mind is always out. That's my existential crisis in music. The whole album's one piece of music. It's an experience. You know, it's meant to be really consumed as one piece because you hear the whole thing. It's almost like a Dark Side of the Moon or like one of these kind of more or Dream Theater or concept album where everything kind of just
Yeah, no, I get you.
flows. So that's Explore Your Mind, Spotify. I got the Jump Out and Sriracha, brand new. So that's
That's right,
where
guys. Go
you
check
can
out
find me.
check out the new single, guys. It's out there now.
And
Mars has
thank
put it
you.
out there for you to consume it. Damn it, you need to consume it. Hey, no problem, man. Like I said, appreciate you coming. I'll definitely follow you on Instagram. I was trying to figure out what your Instagram was too before we started. I was like, damn, like fuck it. I'll wait till the end. We'll ask him what it was. I'm like, I know this man's got an Instagram. Damn it, somewhere. You know, I'm sure I lost it somewhere in my notes. I've got so much going on right now. It's not even funny. But Mars, thank you so much for coming, bro. Like I said, I really enjoyed this conversation, man. It was great, man. Guys, look forward to the album. Like I said. Hell yeah, definitely. Mars and I are going to keep in touch for sure because Mars, I need him to come back again for the panel and some other things, And Mars is going to, you're going to keep making that music for us, Mars. We appreciate it so much, brother. So thank you so much for being here. And guys, as I always say, I'm Pete for Anxiety. I'm on X all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify all the way down to iHeartRadio. I know I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere like Visa, everywhere you want me to be. And as I always say, it costs nothing, absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. One kind act you can do can save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete for Anxiety. I'm saying, hey, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health today?